How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Mem Beis, Daf 42 of Masechta Sotah. Friends, well, Sotah is only 49 daf, so I guess that means we only have a week left. Friends, the Maisa, I'm in a shtickle rush over here because we got a lot to do, and I got a call in like 40 minutes that I think I'm supposed to go to, less than 40 minutes. So, friends, I'm going to need your cooperation. I'm going to need you not to interrupt me or anything like that, alright? Can you do that for me? Alright. Let's start at the Mishnah, Daf Mem Beis Amud Aleph. So it's a new parak. Mashuach Melchama, B'shah Shemidaber El Ha'om, B'lashon Kodesh, Haya Midaber. That the Mashuach Melchama, look at what the Mashuach Melchama is. That before the Yidden would go to fight a war, so you would have this kohen Mashuach Milchama. It was a special kohen, a special kind of role, and he would sort of speak to the troops before going to war. So b'shah shemedaber el ha'om, when he was speaking to the people, so b'lashon kodesh medaber, he would speak to them in lashon kodesh. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, vayikeravchem el milchama, and it will be when you come close to the action. V'nigash hakohen zeh kohen Mashuach Milchama. The kohen will come forth. That is the kohen Mashuach Milchama, this special kohen. V'diber el ha'am, and he will speak to the people b'lashon kodesh, in lashon kodesh. Ve'omer alem, and he says to the people, Shema Yisrael v'gomer, listen up, people, listen, O Israel, aloivechem, that you're going to fight against your enemies. V'lo alachechem, friends, you're fighting on your enemies. You're not fighting against your brothers. Lo Yehuda al Shimon, v'lo Shimon al Binyamin. It's not like if Yehuda is fighting with Shimon or Shimon's fighting with Benjamin. She'im tiplu biyadam yirachmu aleichem. That unfortunately, if there is fighting between the Yidden, they'll have mercy on the captives. Shkema shenemar, as the pasuk says, v'yakumu ha'anoshim asher nikvu b'shemis. That it says by when some of the people of Judah fell into the hands of the Israel of Yisrael, and anybody who was unclothed, they gave them clothing, right? The people from Yisrael gave the people from Judah who were captives, they gave them clothing. By Albishim, by Anilim, they gave them shoes. By Achilim, they gave them what to eat. Vayashkum, what to drink. Vayaschum, vayinoalum, bachamorim, and they gave them oils to anoint, and they put them on donkeys, the chokoshel, anybody who couldn't walk. Vayavirum Yericho, and they brought them to Jericho, Iratmarim, the city of the dates, Eitel Acheim, by their brethren, Vayashuv Shomron v'gomer, and then they went back to the Shomron. So, by the Jews, if Chas v'Shalom, there's internal fighting, at least they'll have mercy on the captives. Aloiveichem atem holchim. But the Kohen Mashuach Milchama is being clear that this is not that. You're fighting against your enemies. Shem tiplu biyadom, that if you fall into their hands, ein rachman aleichem, they're not going to have mercy upon you. Al yorich levavchem, don't let your heart be soft. Al tiru, don't be scared. Vatach bezu, don't be scared. V'gomer, al yerach, yerach, I don't think it's yorich, yerach. No. Yerach. Oh, great. It's so small I can't even see, but it's Yerach, I think. Yerach levavchem. Where am I? So do not have your heart shouldn't be soft. Mipnei tzala susim. That if you hear the horses neighing in their battle neighs, don't get scared. V'tichzu acharavo, so that you see the shining of the swords. Al tiru mipnei agafas trisin, when you hear the shields crashing against each other. V'shifas hakalgasin, and the troops. Al ta'achbezu mikol kronos, or from the sounds of the horns. Al tarzu mipnei kol tzvachis, and the shouting. Don't be scared of these things. Because it's God, your God, because Hashem your God, that walks with you. Great, they're coming with the confidence, with the victory of flesh and blood. But you are coming with the guaranteed victory of God. Right? The Philistines, they came, they were putting all their hope into Goliath. What happened to him? L'sof nafal b'cherev v'naflu imo. Right? He fell and they fell. Pnei Ammon bo b'netzchon shel shoivach. And the people of Ammon, they put all their money, their hope in Shovach. Ma Yosef, what happened to that guy? The Sof nafal b'cherev v'naflu imo. They fell. He fell and they fell. I think it's imo, not amo. Ve'atem iatem kin. But you, on the other hand, fellow Yidden, it's not the case. That it's the Eibishter who is going with you to fight with you. And this is a reference to the camp of the Aron that would go with them, the ark that would go with them to war. How does V'diber Ala'am indicate that the Kohen Mashiach Muhammad spoke in Lashon Kodesh? So Achikam, this is what it's saying. Shnema V'diber, it says over here V'diber Ala'am. U'lahalanu Omer Moshe Yedaber. Ve'alokim Yanenu B'kol. It says by Arsina that Moses would speak and the Eibishter would answer him with a voice. Malahalim b'lashon kodesh, avkan b'lashon kodesh. That just like by Harsinai was lashon kodesh, so also by the Kohen Mashiach Muhammad where it says v'diber it's oichet lashon kodesh. Tanu Rabbanan the Rabbis taught v'nigash hakohen v'diber ala'am, that the Kohen comes and he speaks with the people, with the nation. Yachol kol Kohen she'yirtzeh. Is it possible that this isn't a specific role for a specific person? Maybe it's any priest. Go to any synagogue, find any priest, and say, "All right, give a pep talk." Tamaloma v'dibra shotrim. No, it says v'dibra shotrim that the officers speak. Mashotrim b'memuna, just like officers are appointed. Av kohen b'memuna. So also we're talking about not just any kohen, but an appointed kohen. Ve'ema kohen gadol. Maybe I'll say it's the kohen gadol. Dumya dishoter. No, it has to be similar to a officer. Mashoter sheyesh memuna al gabav. Just like an officer has, I guess, like a commander above him, I guess. Av kohen sheyesh memuna al gabav. So also we need a kohen that has sort of somebody above him. So it can't be the kohen gadol because the kohen gadol is the highest level of kohen. So we need another kohen who sort of has a level above him. I.e. the kohen gadol. Kohen gadol nami ayika melech, but the kohen gadol isn't exactly the top of the society totem pole, I guess. There's the king. The king is higher up, so he's sort of a step below the king. So yeah, but we're talking about in the context of the avoda, of the work, and the kohen gadol in the context of avoda is the highest level. Ve'ema sgan, okay, but why is it the Mashuach Milchama, right? We're saying, okay, it has to be somebody who's appointed, and somebody who also has somebody above him. So that's the Mashuach Milchama. But can't it be the sgan, right? The sgan kohen gadol who takes over for the kohen gadol on Yom Kippur if the kohen gadol becomes apostle. So skan lav memunahu. No, the skan is not actually considered to be appointed. The Tanya, as we learned in the Brisa, Amr b'chanina skana ke'anim lama skan memuna. It says chanina here, but I'm sure it's the same person. So Chananya skan akoanim. That what is the skan appointed for? She'im irabo psul b'kohen gadol. That if anything, if the kohen gadol becomes apostle, nichnas mishamish tachtav, so the skan will take his place on Yom Kippur. So the point, and the point being that it's not the skan isn't. It's interesting. The skan is not like an appointed position. It's a potentially appointed position. It's the person who's designated that in case a psul happens with the kohen gadol on Yom Kippur, at that point he's appointed to be the sgan, right? It's an interesting taich, right? So the sgan is not actually anything right now until a psul happens to the kohen gadol, at which point he becomes, the kohen gadol on Yom Kippur. But until then he's nothing. Therefore he's not actually appointed. But the kohen Mashiach Muhammad is actually appointed to be this person who gives the pep talk before the action. Fine. Ve'omar Aleim Shema Yisrael, and the Mashiach Muhammad, the Kohen Mashiach Muhammad, he says, listen, Israel, Maishna Shema Yisrael, Hakam Davka says Shema Yisrael, Amr B'Yochanan Mishum Ben Yochai, Amr Loyen, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael, that the Eibishter says to the Yidden, Afilu lo kiyamtem, Elikriyas Shema Shachris V'Arvis, Iatem Nimsorim B'Yodam, even if all you did was, wait 1 second. Shtickle squeaky. I don't think this is a squeaky chair, but it's a little bit of squeak. It's not the squeaky chair though. Dad, did you fix the squeaky chair? Maybe you fixed it. Even if you only said Kriyas Shema Shachris and Arvis, you had said Kriyas Shema in the morning and in the evening, that's all you did. You didn't listen to Babylon Talmud. You said Kriyas Shema in the morning and the evening, that was it. That's enough that you will be, you won't become captive and you'll be fine. Al Yerach Levavchem, Al Tiru V'chulei, Tana Rabbanu the Rabbis taught, Pa'amayim Medaber Imam. Oh, so the Meshach Milchama speaks with them twice. Achaz B'Svar, V'achaz B'Milchame. Once, when they're at like the, final, like Kiryat Shmone or something, like they're at the final village before they leave into enemy territory. And then once the Imamis get to the front lines, to the battlefield. What does the Kohen Meshuach Milchama say at the last village? Shimu divrei marchei hamilchama v'chizru. That he basically, at that point, he lists off all the people that are able to go home. Right? People like if they, mekadesh a woman, or they built a house, or things like that, you can go home. It's very interesting how things feel very last minute over here. I feel like nowadays, like if you weren't somebody who's going to fight in the war, like you probably wouldn't be in the army. Like anybody who's in the army, I imagine, is like, they're like ready to go. Like maybe not. I guess it's talking about people who got like engaged. So like I guess you can get engaged while you're in the army. Yeah, I guess there's like an energy here of like, just everybody's going. Anybody who's like a certain age goes, and then they started saying, okay, you're exempt. Feels like nowadays there's a lot of training that goes in, right? This seems like very last minute, but maybe not. Maybe they did have a trained army, and then he was pointing out, by the way, if anybody just got married, you can go home. If anybody just built a house, by the way, you're potter. But then again, I feel like you know this in advance, but still, I guess maybe at that point you can go home, even if you know in advance, I guess, that you're going to be able to go home. Yeah, I mean, the Gemara is going to explain actually that like these people who make it out to the Sfar, they don't actually go back home. They go out and do other things that to help out. They'll fix the roads and different things, even if they're not going to be fighting. What does he say when they get to the action? Don't be scared. So it says, so those are four things. Like the four things that their enemies do. Magifin, what was it? They like clash the shields, Umarian, and they make noise. Tzvachin, they shout. Veromsin, they trample. So therefore, can I get those four things? Be strong. The Philistines, they put all their hope in Goliath. And what happened to him? Goliath, Omer Reb Yochanan, she'omad begilui panim b'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Goliath, says Reb Yochanan, he's called Goliath because he stood begilui panim. Goliath, begilui panim. He was chutzpanyak. He was chutzpedik lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu before the Eibishter Shneimar. It says, Bru lachem ish v'yered Eloi. Choose for yourself. Goliath says to the people, choose for yourself an ish and come to me. V'en ish el HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And an ish is the Eibishter. Shneimar Hashem ish milchame. That the Eibishter is a man of war. So, if I understand correctly, what he was saying was like, let God come and fight me. Omar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hareini Mapilo al Yad Benish. You know what? I'm going to, I'm going to knock him down. I'm going to make him downfall. I'm going to make him down. I'm going to knock him down by a Ben Ish, the son of a fellow Shenem of a David Ben Ish Ephrosi. That David was. Maybe the point is Ben Ish is like not just a man, but a young man. He was the son of an Ephrosi man. Hazeh, this one. Amr Yochanan Mishum Meir Bishloshim Mekomis Lichado Piv Laoso Rasha. Now, in three instances, Goliath sort of indicated his imminent demise. Echad, number one, Brulachim Ish V'Yered Eloi. Right, so it says, choose for yourself a person and let him come down, I guess, upon me. Kilu is indicating like I'm going to fall down. The idach im yuchal lehilachem iti v'hikani v'gomer. If you will be able to fight with me and hit me. So Kilu again, he was saying like that he's going to get hit. The idach the ka'amar le David. And finally, the third example is that he says to King David. He says to David, "Hakelav anochi, am I a dog? Mayahunt ki ataba elai bimaklos, that you're coming to me with sticks. So it says ki ataba elai, that you're coming upon me. So in those three instances, Goliath alluded to his own demise and downfall. But one second, v'David nami omar lei ataba elai b'acherev b'chanus uv'chidon, that you're coming upon me with a sword and a spear and a spear? I don't know, some other sharp metal object probably. Ugh. No, so isn't David essentially also talking about his own demise? Hadar Amarle, but then David follows that up in the same verse. Vanochi ba'elecha b'shem Hashem tzvakos Eloke Malchus Yisrael Asher Chirafta. But I am coming with the Eibishter. And the point being that, you're coming with these little tools, these little sharp metal objects. I'm coming with God. Your sharp metal objects are useless in front of God, and so are you, useless, downfally man. Vayigash Aplishti Hashkim V'Hayriv, and the Philistine Goliath, he was waking up early and late. Amr B'Yochanan Kedei Levatlin Mikriyah Shema Shachos V'Arvis, in order so that the Yidden would be mevatel, they wouldn't say Kriyah Shema in the morning and in the evening, and then they would then they would be in a bad place, right? Because we said before, even if all you did was said Kriyah Shema in the morning and evening, you'll be fine. But he was trying to distract them from saying Kriyah Shema. And he stood for 40 days. Connected the 40 days, right? But while we were waiting for the Torah, so during that time that we didn't yet have the Torah, we were just kind of waiting for it. That's where Goliath's strength kind of, he got sort of some kind of strength during those 40 days. That was what he came to fight them with. My benaim. Where did I skip? Vayetze isha benaim. Mimachnos plishtim v'gomer. Isha Beinaim came from the Philistine camp, and that's a reference to Goliath. So my Beinaim, what does it mean the Beinaim? Omer Rav she mevuna mikol mum, that he was he didn't have any blemishes. He was very properly built, without any blemishes. Shmuel Omer says Shmuel Beinoni shebe'echav. He was sort of in the middle of his brothers, right? That he was not too big, not too small. Devei, although he was pretty big. Devei Reb Shila Amar, Shu also, but relative to his brothers, he was sort of in the middle. Shu also Kibinyan, that he's made like a building. Reb Yochanan Amar Barmea Pope V'chada None. It means that his mother Lemaise slept with many, 100 men, and but Lemaise Goliath only has one father. Only one of those men was his father, but he comes from among Beinoni, Bain, right? Among a lot of men, but only one of them is his father. V'Goliath Shmo Migas, and his name is Goliath from Gas. Tani Rav Yosef Shakol Doshin Es Imo Kigas, that a gas is a wine press. So says Rav Yosef that everybody would press themselves upon Goliath's mother like pressing upon a grape press. Okay, if the puzzle says Maros v'Karina and Marchos, that we read it Marchos even though it's written Maros. What does that mean? So Tani Rav Yosef teaches Shakol He'eru Be'imo. Everybody might write He'ora, as we've learned about, is Be'etzim Bia. Lots of people had Bia with Goliath's mother. Eksiv Harafa or Ksiv Arpa. So it says that Goliath's name is Harafa, but another pasuk says Orpa, right? Rus's sister-in-law, Orpa. So that was apparently Goliath's mother. Rav Shmuel Chad Amar Harafa Shma. One opinion is that her name was really Harafa, V'lamanikra Shma Orpa. So why do they call her Orpa if her name is really Harafa? Shakol Orphan Osa Me'acharel. Okay, because everybody would sodomize her from behind. V'chad Amar Orpa Shma. Her name is really Orpa, V'lamanikra Shma Harafa. Why is her name Harafa? Shakol Doshin Osa Ka'arifos. Because everybody would crush her beneath themselves when they were sleeping with her, just like grain is crushed. How do we know that harifos is crushed grain? It says that the woman spread out some kind of covering over a well, harifos, and she spread out on it these crushed grains. Alternatively, from here in if you crush a nudnik in a mortar with crushed along with crushed grains. Vesarba ele yuldu Harafa, and the following 4 giants were born to Harafa, Begas, in Gas, Vayiplu bi'ad David, Uviyad Avadav, and they fell into the hands of David and his servants. Ma'ninu, who are these 4? Amr of Chizda, Saf Umadon, Golias, V'yishbi Benov. Those were the 4. Vayiplu bi'ad David, Uviyad Avadav, and they fell in the hands of David and his servants. The Chsiv, as the Apostle says, Vatishak Orpa lachamosa. That right? It says it at the beginning of Sefer Rus. That Orpah kissed her mother-in-law and then left. Rus Dovka Ba, but Rus stayed with her, with Naomi. Amar Reb Yitzchok says, Yitzchok Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu Im Yavo Bnei. Wait 1 second. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. So continues the Gemara. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu Yavo Bnei Aneshuka, that the children of the Neshuka, the one who kissed Naomi and then left, Vayiplu biyad Bnei Advuka, and they fell into the hands of the one who stuck with Naomi, who was Rus, and her descendants were King David. Darash Ravet Rosh Darshan B'schar Arba Demos, the Shorida Orpah, in the merit of the 4 tears that Orpah cried Al Chamosav on her mother-in-law, Zochsa v'yatzu mimeno arba giborim. She merited that these 4 mighty men would come from her. Shenema, as the pasuk says, Vatisena kolan vativkena od. That they cried another time. It said in a few psukim earlier that they cried. So they cried 2 times. 2 eyes. 2 times 2 is 4. Ksiv, and therefore she merited 4 mighty giants. Ksiv chetz chaniso v'karinon eitz chaniso. Okay, the pasuk, it's written chetz of his spear, but we read it the wood, the eitz of his spear. What do we learn from chetz chaniso? Amar Reb Elazar adayin lo yigianu lechatzi shvacho shel oso rasha. That we haven't even gotten to half of the praise of Goliath, kilu, how strong he was. He was mamish, a very formidable adversary. Mikan she'aser. So we see that you can't discuss the praise of Nudniks because, as we see from here, that we only discuss half of his praise, not all of his praise. Because we don't discuss the praise of Nudniks. So if we don't discuss the praise of Nudniks, so why are we praising him at all? Why even give halfway? They'll do a shvachi to David. Well, because we do want to include the praises of the Nudnik, because by doing so, it shows how great of a feat it was for King David to defeat the Nudnik. So we give him a little bit of praise, but we can't give him all the praise because we don't praise Nudniks. The Mishnah said, that the people of Ammon, they came trusting in Shovach, and that didn't work out. Ksiv Shovach u Ksiv Shofach. One pasuk says Shovach, the other pasuk says Shofach. Rav Shmuel Chad Omar Shofach Shmo. One of them says that his name is Shofach. V'laman Shmo Shovach. How can they call Shmovach? Also Kishovach, because he says tall as a dove coat, pretty tall. V'chad Omar Shovach Shmo, that his name was Shovach. V'laman Shmo Shofach. Shekol Haroe also Nishbach Lefonim Kikiton. That anybody who would see Shovach, he was so scary that any will to fight was drained out of him. Ashpaso kekever pasuach kulam giborim. So it says about the army of Nebuchadnezzar that their waist was like an open grave and they were all mighty. Rav Shmuel, V'amrila, Rav Ami, Rav Asi, Chad Omer, one of them says, B'shash zorkin chetz, osin ashpasos chalalim. One opinion is that whenever the Nebuchadnezzar's army would shoot an arrow, there would be piles and piles of corpses from it. V'shema tomar she'umanin b'krav, and maybe we'll say, okay, so they're just sharpshooters, but they're not necessarily mighty. Tamlomer kulam giborim, no, they were all mighty. Mecharomer, one opinion is b'shasha osin tzorkein, that when they would go to the bathroom, osin ashposos shel zevel, they would mamish have piles and piles of defecation. B'shema tomar mipnei shecholim me'ayimim, and maybe we'll say it's because they have stomach illness. No. Tamalomer kulam giborim. These are mighty people with mighty appetites and mighty defecation piles. Okay. Amr of Mari Shema Amar of Mari Shmamina, Hai Man Dunofrish Zivle Cholim Yaimu. So clearly the implication, or the assumption was that, well, if they're going to the bathroom so much, it must be some kind of stomach bug. So the Nafkamino, okay, great. So what's the difference? Well, the Mitzvah Benafshi. If you're going to the bathroom at that rate, then maybe you should look for some assistance from a doctor. Daiga belevish yashcheno. This is very interesting, Lamaise, that if there's a worry, if there's fear in a fellow's heart, he should quash it. It's an interesting mahalach. So one opinion is that if you have fear, so just think about something else, try to get it out of your head. The other opinion is speak about it to other people. I guess that's like I guess some people deal with things by just trying to don't think about it, and other people talk through it with therapists, and they talk through it with people. Okay. And but you are not like that. You have the Eibishter, meaning the Philistines believed in Goliath, Ammon believed in Shovach, but you don't need giants. You've got God. Gewaldig. And how? Okay, and then we said that that God walks with you, right? The pasuk says, "Kashem lekechem," right? To a holech imachem. Right? He walks with you. What does it mean? He walks with you? Because God and all of the references, right, and all of his like alternative names, Munachin Ba'aron, are in the ark that would go out with them to the battle. And the pasuk says, "Vayishlach osa Moshe elef lamata," that Moses sent them 1,000 in a tribe. Latzava to the army. Osam as Pinchas, them and Pinchas Osam. So when it says Osam, Elu Sanhedrin, that's a reference to the Sanhedrin that I guess went to war with them. Pinchas ze Mashuach Mulchama. That Pinchas he was the Kohen Mashuach Mulchama that we were talking about earlier. The Klei Kodesh ze Aaron. Oh, when it says in the pasuk Klei Kodesh, that's a reference to the ark. Veluchis Shebo. Bachatzotzu Satura Elu Hashofris, right? So that was the Aaron and the Luchis that were in there, and then also they had the shofaris. Okay. That it wasn't for naught, right? There was a reason why Pinchas went to fight against the Midyanim. El Lipareya Din Avi Imo, in order to get payback for his grandfather Shenemar, for his ancestor Shenemar. The pasuk says, "V'amidonim machru oso al Mitzrayim v'gomer," that the Midyanim sold Joseph to Egypt, and Pinchas wanted to get payback. Remember the Pinchas Miyosef Asi. So does that imply that Pinchas is a descendant of Joseph? Right? Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aharon a Kohen. And it says that Elazar ben Aharon, he took as a wife one of the daughters of Putiel. My love, that Putiel is Yisro, who fattened up calves for Getchkis, for Vodazar. Lo, Miyosef shepitpet beyitzro. No, when it says Mibnos Putiel, it's talking about from the daughters of Joseph that he kind of overcame and subdued his Yetzirah. Valo shvatim mevazin also, but weren't the tribes making fun of and degrading Pinchas and saying Reisim ben Puti zeh shepitem avi imo agolim lavodos kochavim yarugnosim Yisrael? But after Pinchas killed Cosby, Zimri ben Salu, so they were all saying, Pinchas, who does he think he is? His ancestor, after all, was fattening up calves for Getchkis, and he thinks he can go and kill one of the Nesiim. How can this be? So clearly, then it sounds like it did come from Jethro. So Ella yavu de'imem Yosef ime de'imem Yisro. Look, if his mother's father was from Joseph, then his mother's mother was from Jethro. And if his mother's mother was from Joseph, so then his mother's father was from Jethro. Somewhere in his ancestry he comes from Joseph, and somewhere in his ancestry he comes from Jethro, Dekanami, and you can also infer this, Putiel, that it says Putiel with a Yud, not right, meaning Pei Vav Taf Tes Yud Aleph Lamed, right? Because there's that extra Yud that you could also have it without the Yud, but the Yud connotes Trei Mashma Shmamina, that two putiels, right? Two, like there's the Yosef shepitpet b'Yitzro and Yisro shepitem agolos. What was it? Shepitem agolos. Shepitem agolim. Avodas kochavim. So it comes from both Joseph and Jethro. Okay, I think we made good time. Yeah, I still have a few minutes before this call that I'm probably going to go on. And all right, Givaldik. Well, that was very interesting stuff. We started the 8th parak of Masechta Sotah. We talked about the Kol Meshuach Milchama and going out to battle. And all right, we're gonna continue with the new Mishnah tomorrow on Daf Mem Gimel. I hope you enjoy. Peace out.